And in my opinion, okay, here's the thing for me. When I was coming from Pipeline, before I even skated Pipeline, before they even built Pipeline, they had El Pool and Baldy. So all these guys are coming through town. You got Worm coming through town. You got like Waldo Autry. You got like Mike Weed. You got like, I mean, every major player came through town at one point to skate Baldy Pipe and or El Pool at that time frame. You know what I mean? This is like pre-77. This is like 75, 76. Because I was a little kid and there privy to it, seeing it with my own eyes. After Pipeline opened, a lot of these guys who saw us at these things remembered me, and Stacey being one of them. Now, Stacey did a demo at our high school. No, sorry, my junior high school. And I went to Vernon Junior High, and it was the Pepsi team. It was Stacey, Greg Ayers, and Rod Saunders. And so, you know, they did the demo, and they had a little contest, and, you know, I won the contest. And then they had the Coca-Cola, I mean, the Pepsi, and they had the Mountain Dew. So they had the challenge, you know what I mean? And they had the Pepsi challenge shit too. So that we got to like kind of taste all that shit. But after it was all said and done, after school was over and the demo was over, we got out early that day because of the demo and all that shit. I kind of said, hey, Stacey, you know, you guys want to go skate this pool I know of? And because they kind of met me from El Pool, they go, yeah, okay, we know who you are, man. Yeah, we'll go check out this pool. And so I took them to this pool. Now, I never talked to Stacey about this ever. I always wanted to ask him this. But Rod Saunders, at the last Skater Hall of Fame, comes up to me. He's all, Salba, man, remember that time you took us to that pool after junior high? I'll never forget that shit. And Rod Saunders totally recalled it. You know what I mean? So Rod remembered. I'm not sure if I never talked to Greg Ayers about it either. But all I'm saying is Stacey was there, and I saw that shit and it was sick. So later, when Pipeline opens up, and I'm seeing Stacey skate, and when I saw him do like the first kind of lip slide, he did it in the 15-foot ball. But he didn't do it in the deep end. He did it in the shallow end. And the shallow end kind of like, I mean, you guys all been a Pipeline. So where the shallow end kind of came in through the 15-foot bowl and the shallow end all the way to the ball, yeah. That's where the kind of like that it got steeper there and it had that round lip. And that's where I saw Stacey do the first lip slide. And I'm all, man, wow, that's pretty damn cool, man. And that's awesome. And then he came back a couple weeks later and he had that little lip slide bar thing he had made, right? To kind of get over the lips so he wouldn't hang up. I'm like, what's that? It's pretty interesting, man. That's kind of crazy. And then the thing is, no, I'm not the only guy watching this shit. Like Kurt Kimball was there and a couple other guys. And Kurt Kimball, he was the other guy that got the lip slide thing kind of going. And then Rick Howe from Mixstick made it. And then for me, is where I'm kind of getting to. Back to the first Pipeline contest again. You saw a photo of me. I had that lip slide bar thing on, and I had it at Winchester at Newark also. You know what I mean? So I was super, super influenced from Stacey because he was one of the first Dogtown guys I actually saw in the old days and actually was cool with me. You know, if you saw Alba, he was a fucking asshole. Let's face it. You know, he was like, fuck you, kid. You're fucking whatever. I'm Tony Alba. And Jay was cool. Mir was kind of like whatever, but they didn't give you any of the props like, you know, like Stacey did in the beginning. So it was pretty awesome. So to see him in action. And so after I saw Stacey do the lip slide, I kind of learned it. And then I go, man, you know what? I got to take this another step further. And that's when I learned it at the hip Pipeline. Now, here's the other kind of thing that people don't know about. When I shot my first skateboarder interview, all those pictures in the skateboarder interview, I never skated the Pipeline pool combi until that day. So that day we skated. And so that Edger photo and all that shit, that was just me making my shit up that day. I never even skated the pool prior to that. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't know that, which is kind of crazy. But that's kind of how it all went down. You know what I mean?
Well, that front side edger, the front side in the square pool, that was the first day you skated the pool.
Yeah, my first
duty.
Yeah, and so I was at that point I was so like I gotta skate this thing because I was watching them make it all the time. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, now I got to kind of like have a little hand in designing the square and the round part. To be honest with you, you know what I mean? But Art Kent was the designer, and I mean he was the contractor, so he's the guy that had the plans. You know what I mean? But he didn't actually build it. Wally Holiday built it, and Bigelow built it.
You doing, motherfucker?
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, you know what I mean?
So Steve, did you ever have one of those? I mean, it was like a lapper, but it was the long metal one, right?
I had the metal one at first, like Stacey did, and then Rick Howe made one from Ixtick, and I had that board. I had that on my board at the Newark contest. So when I go to Newark to go skate Newark, I'm doing lip slides, and I could do them over the coping because I have that shit. I'm not lifting up yet like a disaster yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, and that's when Fausto and Eric walked up to me the first time. And then Olson kind of told him about me, and like, hey man, and I was riding trackers. We were all riding trackers at that contest, every one of us. You know what I mean? And at that point, I had taken my trackers and put like a little spacer in between, and had Dave Dummany made the axles a little longer for me. And Wally just had a photo like on his Instagram or whatever a couple of days ago, was talking about spacers on his axles, same kind of shit. Same thing, because we wanted a little bit bigger, a longer grind. And to be honest with you, at Pipeline at that point, I didn't have any pull coping yet. This is pre-combi. Combi didn't happen until 79. Remember, so Newark was in 78. So for us to grind a round lip in the Pipeline in the 12-foot bowl, there was like a little square part in the little round lip.
Yeah.
We had a wider trusted grinder, so that's kind of why we started doing it. And then we could also grind a 15-foot bowl, you know. But then, you know, after that, I was kind of thinking, when Fausto and then Eric kind of asked me to ride for Indy, I had this fucking crazy setup. You know, I had the lip slide thing on there, and I had my trucks all straight, like, you know, a freak I am about that shit. And so I'm thinking in my mind, I go, well, if you guys can put my board together the way it is now, without fucking my board still rolls straight and I can ride it, I'll try your shit. And so they brought it back to me, and my board rolled straight, and I try their shit. And then at that point, I can kind of do a figure eight carve. I could do like a backside and a frontside carve in a Newark pool. I couldn't do that on track. I was completely sold right there. Like, dude, I can carve like a motherfucker now. And so I started riding for Indy, that contest.
So you went from tracker X tracks or 6 tracks to Indies. What was Dwayne riding before Indy?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was either riding Bennis or trackers too.
Or
I mean,
lasers?
we all rode lasers too. I mean, I love lasers because lasers had that little point thing, and they weren't flat this way.
Yeah.
Because they had a little point you can kind of grind too, and especially in a 15-foot bowl, I was like, yeah, this is sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, like, again, I didn't meet Dwayne yet. I didn't really know him yet, and then it's kind of funny because he was talking about the other day that we didn't really meet till a little bit later. But you know, I had met Olson already, and I had met a couple other guys already, but I didn't meet Dwayne and up until a little bit after I heard of Dwayne. You know what I mean?
Was that the Newark contest that Blackheart rolled in at?
Yes, it was. Yeah, which was insane. You know what I mean? I mean that picture, you know, is like, to me.
That Indy ad?
Yeah, I mean that picture is fucking just all time. You know, just it's a straight like frontal assault, just like diving in. Rah, you know what I mean?
At the time, I remember seeing it, and not like a lot of things. You know, there was no reference or like no
video.
Yeah, there's nothing to like. It had no basis in reality for me. I didn't get it. You know.
Yeah, and you're right, because you know, and I'll be the first to attest to this also, that when we were kids, you know, you just seen that photo of you know, George Orton in the air, Tony in the air, and like how did they get there? And it wasn't until I actually saw Tony at Skatopia one day, like, oh, that's how he gets there. And you saw it in real life. It was a different trip. But up until that point, you just saw this photo, like, what the? It didn't make any sense. Like, what? And then after that, then it had the 3-sequence shot.
Of Orton?
A little better.
In the Verdi Bowl.
Yeah, George had the, like, 6-shot it up one, too. Like, rah, you know what I mean? And so, and that was cool, but like I say, there was nothing like seeing it in real life. And that's the thing between now and then, is you had to see it in real life to actually kind of figure it out, all by trial and error. But today you can slow things down, you can kind of slow-mo it, you can, you know what I mean? And so it's just such a different thing. And plus, think about all the shit we were riding in those days. Skinny boards, shitty fucking pads, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same gear we're riding now. It was almost like, I don't know. So